Okay, so a little intro before the intro here. You'll see an intro that I filmed on site at the time of the recording of this interview, but I've actually sat on this for almost 2 years now, so huge apologies to Wasim at Razzouk Tattoo, who I will be speaking with in this video, but incredible guy, super interesting, total legend. Definitely encourage you investigating this a little bit further. There's a ton more information online than what's going to be provided here, but I got a tattoo from Wasim, one of the famous stencils that his shop is known for, and he agreed to an interview. Didn't want to take too much of his time. There's tons of people going in and out, so it was a rather short-form conversation, but it was a wonderful opportunity to get the chance to speak with him, and I think you'll very much enjoy what he has to say. So thanks for watching, and now to old Tyler from 2 years ago.
So I'm here feeling like a bit of a goon filming in public like this, just outside the old city of Jerusalem. And down that path that I just showed is Jaffa Gate, which is arguably the most famous of the gates, or one of the sort of the front doors to the old city, which I believe enters just at the Christian quarter. But I'm here, just took the train over here from closer to Tel Aviv because I'm getting a tattoo from Razzouk Tattoo by Wasim Razzouk, who there's been a lot of publication about it. I saw it initially on the New York Times, CNN, The Guardian, I'm sure countless publications. Many people have come here to do a story, an interview, so I'm certainly not the first. The whole meme essentially with this tattoo shop is that it's one of the oldest in history. I think they claim it's the oldest in history, or at least the oldest continuously owned tattoo shop. Since the 1300s is the claim, and beyond that, their claim to fame is that they have a number of old stamps that they've been using as stencil tattoos, and they only have a few that have concrete dates, I think from the early 20th century. Like I think 1901, 1915, something to that effect. And then beyond that, the stamps vary significantly. I think the oldest one is assumed to be at least 300, 400, maybe even 500 years old. Just the very fact that they have a tattoo shop in the old city of Jerusalem is fascinating in and of itself. So, hoping for a good interview. My appointment's in something like 30 minutes. Probably have another 5 to 10 minute walk. Probably just gonna take some photos, enjoy a relatively nice day in Jerusalem. Everything's pretty calm at the moment, so can't complain. We'll see. So. All right, so again, thanks so much for speaking with me. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I'm going to ask you to do the thing you've probably been asked many times, which is to explain a little bit about where we are and who you are.
Yeah, sure. So this is the Razzouk Tattoo Shop. Our sign outside says Razzouk Tattoo since 1300. Because we have been doing tattoos for the past 700 years, since 1300. We go back all the way to Egypt, where we used to do tattoos for Christian Copts on their wrists, like this one that I have, which is a typical traditional cross, Coptic cross, that is tattooed on. So this cross here, this is like the cross that is being done on all the Christian Copts until now, and it has been done for hundreds and hundreds, actually more than 1,000 years. So Christians mark themselves, Christian Copts in Egypt mark themselves with this little cross on the wrist in a way to recognize themselves and in order to enter the church. This is like a pass to enter the church. So my family used to do this back in Egypt. They were tattooists, and 500 years ago they decided to come to the Holy Land on pilgrimage, and with them they brought all their tools with them and their profession, like any other pilgrim would do. So pilgrims used to come to the Holy Land, and imagine 1,000 years ago or 700 years ago how people would travel by land or by sea. So it would take them months and months to reach the Holy Land, and when they reach the Holy Land they have to survive, make a living. So they used to work for their living, which means they used to bring their profession with them. And my family brought the profession with them, which is the tattooing profession, together with the tools, and together with the old stamps that they had, because this is also a way of transferring the images on the skin, which we call stenciling, using the technique of the old stamps that are hand carved in wooden blocks, and then they are stamped on the skin, and then they are traced with the needle and the ink. that would make the tattoo. But those wooden stamps that we've had, they brought them with them from Egypt, and more of them were made here in the Holy Land according to the demand of the pilgrims, because they found out that the pilgrims were also getting Christian tattoos in the Holy Land, and not only the Copts, like back in Egypt. So the pilgrims would get a tattoo in the Holy Land in a way to prove and certify their pilgrimage. So when they go back home, they can show that they have been to the Holy Land, they have done their pilgrimage, and also they can be spotted without them talking about it. So when you have a big Jerusalem cross, under it says Jerusalem, under that it says the year of the pilgrimage, that by itself was a sign of pilgrimage, which also gave a special status for the pilgrim when they go back to their country, in their church and in their homeland. When people see that this person have made the journey of a lifetime, he's made it to Jerusalem and came back maybe after a year or a year and a half, that is a journey that was highly respected, and of course, because it's also religious, it's very, very important. So this tattoo was what would change the person from a regular person to a pilgrim. It's a sign. It's a mark on the skin, and this is something that they can take with them to the grave, and not only just have it like a piece of certificate, cardboard, paper stuck on the wall somewhere in the house, right? So this is on their skin. This is on them wherever they go. It's a reminder for themselves of their pilgrimage, of their experience in the Holy Land, of their renewed faith, and also as a mark for others to see, and of course to respect them more for it. It also is a way to ask, what is this? What is, so then you as a Christian can talk about your faith, you can talk about your pilgrimage, you can talk about Jerusalem, and spread the word even more.
Yeah. And do you know if your family faced any persecution for tattooing, or was there a stigma around the practice back in the day that's obviously no longer present? Because I imagine in the past there were issues with tattooing just as a practice for anybody.
Yeah. Well, not that I can remember through my generation, of my father or grandfather's generation, or even my great-grandfather. We all know that in Jerusalem, Christians were getting tattooed. My great-grandfather used to do tattoos in front of the church in the street. So my grandfather had a few different shops where he used to do his tattoos. So we never had a problem. My aunt was a tattooist also. My father's cousin, who was also a woman, was a tattooist, and people used to go there get tattooed. Jews, Muslims, and Christians, and everybody. Us being in the Christian quarter in the old city of Jerusalem gives us that sort of protection against any persecution because of the tattoos. It's accepted. It's a normal thing for Christians to get a tattoo and to do tattoos as well.
Do you think you've been a big part in reviving that tradition? Because it seems like, I'm sure there are other tattoo shops in the Christian Quarter, but you guys seem to be the one who's really brought this back to life more than maybe 20 or 30 years ago.
Yes. Well, my father used to do tattoos. My aunt used to do tattoos. So the generation before my generation was
also
active.
tattooing.
They were doing tattoos. My grandfather is also, as you can see in many of the pictures, there's many pictures and videos even of my grandfather, old videos of my grandfather doing tattoos for people. So, so for the past few generations, we have always been, active in doing tattoos. But when I took over from my father, things started to change a little bit, and I think the internet had a lot to do with it, and this way the word was spread even more. I was interviewed a lot, Facebook, and of course all the social media helped a lot spreading the word. And then when we started tattooing, more and more people coming from churches from the United States, for example, people would go back and show their tattoos, and then it became more and more a thing. And then people would go back to their social media and see us again, and then search a little bit more, and then see videos about us and see interviews. And so a lot of times when people come here, they like, finally I meet you. I have seen you on the internet. I have seen you. It's like they have researched, and people can see us more. When my grandfather used to have something written about him, there was a little article somewhere in a newspaper which would be thrown somewhere of it. Nowadays, when something is written or put up there on the internet, it's always there. You can, and it keeps popping up, and the more and more. So yes, when I took over, things moved much faster. More and more people started knowing about this shop. Now a lot of people think this is like a world famous shop, which I am
sort of is, though.
I'm
I guess,
happy
right?
and I'm proud if it really is, and I think it is. But I have hopes for more and more, but not greedy. But we are blessed that yes. You see, the thing is, there's many things that are connected together that make this very special. First of all, the tradition. The tradition of, not my family, the tradition of pilgrimage. So the pilgrims come here, they want to get tattooed because they want to be part of this pilgrimage tradition and history. They want to be part of this history. Secondly, my family has been doing this for the past 700 years, generations after generations, of the same tradition, using the same stamps, the same designs. So for somebody who would come from Europe and get tattooed from a stamp that was most probably tattooed on one of his ancestors when he was here, that is very cool, So they want to be also part of that. So our family responsibility of keeping this tradition is very important. It's very high, but we also, because we are the only tattooists that continue doing this. So if you look 70 or 80 years ago, there were other tattooists who were doing the same thing in the city of Jerusalem, Armenians and also Christians, but they didn't pass it down to their next generation. We took it from generations and we continue. So we are the only family that has been continuing to do this. So we consider ourselves as the custodians of this tradition, of giving the pilgrims who come from all over the world to be part of this history. We give them this experience, and I think this is what's really special about it. And that's why people love the experience. A lot of times people say this has been the highlight of my pilgrimage. I think it is one of the highlights of the pilgrimage. It's like being baptized again. And I understand, especially if it's towards the end of the pilgrimage, when you have done your pilgrimage, you have visited all the places, you have experienced the Bible, not only reading, it's real. You walk the footsteps of Jesus, and then finally you feel that you have earned this tattoo, and then you get it. That's why a lot of times we tattoo people who have never been tattooed, who have never had a tattoo. I've tattooed a 101-year-old and a 91-year-old one a couple of weeks ago. Their first tattoos, and they say, we never thought that we would ever get a tattoo, but now I'm getting a tattoo. Yes, this is different.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's amazing. It's really special. And then, were you the one to move into this particular location? Was your family in this shop, or were you physically somewhere else?
No. So location-wise, we first of all, 700 years ago, this was Egypt, and in Egypt they used to be like nowadays it's the same thing. Tattooists sit outside the church in the courtyard. They take a corner with a little table and they do tattoos. And up till today, if you go to Egypt, this is what you will see. When we came here, there's a picture of my great-grandfather doing tattoos on a little stool in front of the church on the street. So there was no real location. The location is where the pilgrims are. And then my grandfather started working from his house, where we had a big house, and one of the rooms was used as a studio. And this is where I also used to work from there. My father had a souvenir shop, and at the back of the shop he had a corner where he had the little tattoo spot where he would do the tattoos. My aunt used to work for more. My grandfather used to work. And then when I started working at my father's shop, then my grandfather's old studio, and then I moved to the new location, which we are in now.
Yeah, I mean, this is a
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
crazy spot.
This exact one is only about a couple of months old. The one before is the one around the corner, but it was very small, so we found this place which is very close to the other one, and it's bigger.
Easy to get to. I guess most people come to Jaffa Gate and
Yeah,
outside
yeah.
anyway. So
Jaffa
yeah.
Gate is easy.
And then about keeping the tradition alive. I mean, obviously your sons are here.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
is that easy to convince them, or was that something that they initially?
It wasn't
were not?
easy to convince me when my father wanted me
I
to
see.
do it because I didn't like the way he did it.
Ah, okay.
It was like very old ways of doing tattoos. It wasn't very clean. I didn't like it. Too much oil. It had too much ink everywhere. It's
Sure.
like I didn't want to do that. But then I think because now we've advanced to the level that is internationally accepted, and because of the fame and because of all of the you guys, the YouTubers, and the videos and all of that. So for my children to see where have we reached, I think that encourages them. It's easy. They would say, yeah, we want to be part of it. So yeah, I think the next generation is guaranteed, and then it's up to them to continue and guarantee the next one.
Sure. And you're, if I have this correct, you're Generation 27.
27.
They're 28.
Yes, they are.
And then has the 29th begun or not quite yet?
I haven't seen the beginning
Nothing
yet.
It runs away.
Hopefully, you know.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Oh, that's very exciting. I mean, hopefully this shop itself will persist for hundreds of more years, and who knows? Who knows? Like you said, great things.
Yeah.
I appreciate you taking the
Thanks,
time.
man.
It's really been a pleasure.
My
So
pleasure.
thank you. Cheers. Thank you.